Hey there, Cancer. It's Jen here. I'm doing your reading for April. Um, so I did a little meditation and some channeling, and I'm going to try to shuffle and pull some cards while I'm reading the channeling. I didn't get a whole lot, but one thing I got was you guys counting your money. But it's like, I mean, on one hand, I almost saw people, but I don't know how many people have change anymore. But maybe if you waitress or a server or something, sorry. Um, I don't know. I used to collect tons of coins and periodically roll them up and get like $100. Now I hardly ever pay with cash. But I see some of you maybe rolling money or literally counting money. But for some of you, it's like figuring out your finances, figuring out a budget. What can you afford? And then a little bit later, I got that you may have an opportunity to maybe buy a relative's house or some sort of really, well, some sort of offer opportunity that is almost too good to pass up. You know, sometimes the grandparents or great grandparents, either they go to assisted living or if they pass, and there's that house passes down. I mean, depending on the family, I guess, you might be able to get it at a really fair or even discounted price. See you dreaming a lot, talking about the future, making plans. I even see drafting plans or drawing up plans as if you were to, build a house. So I don't know why where you live is coming in strong for some sort of trying to figure out maybe a shift in where you live. But then I saw just like a Seven of Cups energy. I see you feeling really good and having peaceful, grounding moments outside or sitting in your favorite spot reading or journaling. And I feel like there's just a lot of daydreaming and creative inspiration and energy coming your way that you are channeling to use to create something. Okay, let's keep moving on. Ooh, nice. Three of Cups. Network. For goodness gracious sakes. Networking, a supportive atmosphere, friends. This reminds me of like going on a yoga retreat with friends, some sort of spiritual thing. Nine of Cups. Wow, the wish card. Yeah, I mean, the energy surrounding you is very positive, is very emotionally supportive, loving, happy, positive. When the Three of Cups comes up, and this is obviously only if it's safe, or this may be over Zoom or some sort of um, unique way during the pandemic, but to accept invitations, because this card comes up when um, some opportunity to go out to a more social event comes up. And maybe it was something you really, really could blow off. It'd be super easy to blow off. It wouldn't be a big deal at all. But your intuition's like, no, I think you just go. Just go. Because you know you'll have fun, right? Once you're there. But it goes beyond that because there's some sort of connection made. So say you're looking for a romantic partner. Maybe you don't meet them at that time, but you meet someone and then run into them at a later time and this person's with them or they're related to them, or oh, my friend, my this, they're single, you guys would get along great. Or oh, you're looking for a new apartment, hey, my aunt is just found out their tenants are leaving, or a job or whatever. It's one of those things where you look back and think, you know what? If I hadn't gone to that, this whole chain of events would have never happened. The Hierophant, the five here, the major arcana, this is a card traditionally in the tarot, it's about structures, government, big universities, big business, things with structure and hierarchy and policies and procedures and very, very well structured and defined. It's almost reminding me of climbing the corporate ladder. You can see this version in this deck, the Light Seers deck, is a much more spiritual representation of this card because this often shows like a pope-like or a spiritual, religious leader type situation, type person. But this is how I tend to look at the Hierophant, is a more spiritual, inner, less structured. But for some reason, I did feel compelled. So it could be you're struggling with maybe in a career, okay, this job has these great benefits and a decent salary and all this stuff. Yet it's very structured. It's not as conducive to my creativity. You know what I mean? It's just, again, going back to that very structured versus the war of, I can't necessarily force myself to be creative or like I'm not a machine, and sometimes having to perform on demand is a little bit exhausting and goes against sort of my type. So I must feel sort of for some of you, you're wishing for sort of the best of both worlds there, having that sort of security and all those things that a bigger company affords you. Yet, how do I still have my creative time, my networking time, my social media, my whatever sort of, it would almost thinking like a side hustle that maybe with you are thinking of doing with some friends. So maybe you will have an opportunity um, to flex your schedule, to, because I think people in the next, well, it's probably still be a while, but their jobs will start requiring them to go into work if you've been able to work from home, and maybe negotiating, how about I'm in the office 3 days and then work from home 2 days, that will afford you some of that, flexibility you're looking for. The Nine of Cups it's called the wish card, right? It's a really good feeling card. With the Three of Cups and the Nine of Cups, you could be, partying and hanging out with your friends a lot. I always like to say with the Nine of Cups, it's the wish card, and just to be mindful of all the times. How do I say it? Don't forget to count all the times, all the little ways in which your wishes come true. Even something as silly as you want to run into the coffee shop and you're thinking, "Oh, I hope I get a close parking spot and there's one right in front of the place," or "I hope it's not too crowded." And you're able to you get into the line and you're like the second person back and you're like, "Yes," and then a minute later you turn around and it's filled up and somehow you beat this huge crowd. We kind of have these little things where we're like, "Oh, I hope this happens," and it happens, and we immediately forget that that wish came true. And the more you start focusing on things like that, the more almost magic I think you start seeing in the world. I don't know, Cancer. Your readings, if I remember correctly, I don't really always remember readings, but has been pretty positive. And I think it's kind of focusing on yourself, doing your own spiritual work, taking the time for yourself, um, getting together with friends, having hopes and dreams and wishes. And what do you want? What are you interested in doing? What are the things that you want to bring into your life? You may you may find little ways to have alone time, to have time to yourself. Perhaps also releasing, allowing others to kind of handle their own shit, because people, I'm definitely like this. I tend to want to step in and problem solve and take things over. Yet I know personally my best teaching moments for myself, where I learned the most and grew the most, was when I had to handle things and I had to deal with consequences, and maybe I made mistakes and things like that. So, kind of turning things when you want to do something for someone and thinking, you know what, it's not my place to rob them of their growth and ascending, you know, learning towards wisdom, gaining more wisdom. So maybe you'll consciously kind of release and say, I'm not going to step in and try to solve everything for everyone or for a certain person that I'm not saying you do that for everyone or anything. Um, and really being able to let that go and actually being at peace. Like, it would be scary at the beginning, but then it feels really good to sort of have that boundary and that separation of what is yours to deal with and control, and what is beyond your control. Okay, well, thank you, Cancer. I hope you have a lovely, lovely April. Take care.